snacks.
What it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage here with hashtag ICYMI, which of course is just in case you missed it, which happens to be last week's news. Without any further ado,
Number 1.
Netflix has officially blessed us with Daredevil Season 2. This season sees the addition of Frank Castle, aka The Punisher, as well as the Frank Miller created mercenary, Elektra. As is usual for the streaming service's original shows, all 13 episodes are available for immediate binging. If you made the mistake and didn't watch the first season of Daredevil, I highly suggest you do that. Binge the entire thing in 13 hours straight. So take pee breaks, have popcorn, order food so you don't have to go anywhere, and just watch it all the way through. And then watch season 2. You'll thank me.
Number 2.
The Game Developers Conference, better known as GDC, took place last week, and with GDC comes the Game Developers Choice Awards. Plenty of awards are given out, but the Game of the Year is the big award of the night, and that honor went to the developer CD Projekt Red and their game, The Witcher 3. Just want to take a moment, first of all, and say that, yep, Witcher 3 was absolutely phenomenal. I want to congratulate from the entire Loading Snacks crew, CD Projekt Red, on a job well done. It's one thing to be recognized by, a news outlet or something like that. It's a completely different thing to be recognized by your peers, other people who develop games, to say, this was our favorite game last year. That's a pretty big deal. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out The Witcher 3, I highly suggest you do so. It is a beautiful open world RPG that allows you the opportunity to do almost anything you want. Definitely check that out. It was a great game last summer. You probably find it at a reduced price now.
Number 3.
Speaking of GDC, Sony held a press conference specifically for PlayStation VR, that's virtual reality, and finally revealed its pricing and release date. $399 with an asterisk is what the hardware peripheral will set you back at some point in October of this year. We are going to talk more in depth about this a little later, so keep your eyes and ears right here for our thoughts. Yes, you will get some thoughts a little later. That asterisk is just a little something you have to bear in mind, that the PlayStation virtual reality headset does not work without the PlayStation Eye. So you will have to buy one if you don't already have one. And while you don't necessarily have to have Move controllers, they're probably the preferred way to actually make use of it. So you would also have to do that. So you're probably looking at about another $100 or so. So maybe $500 instead of $400 if you don't already have those peripherals lying around, either from your PlayStation 3 or if you got a PlayStation Eye camera when the PlayStation 4 originally released. Again, we will bring a little bit more on that a little bit later, so stay tuned.
Number 4.
Boy, oh boy, were we handed a gem this week with the new trailer for Fox's X-Men Apocalypse. The new trailer pays homage to the original with a conversation between Professor Xavier and Magneto, wherein which Magneto asks the professor, is he afraid they'll come for his children? This trailer seems to take a few cues from the recent Captain America trailer and gives us a really good look at each of the main characters, including Storm, Cyclops, Psylocke, and even a shot of Cyclops' brother, Havoc. Now, it is extremely important to recognize that while Cyclops was in the original movies and Havoc was in the second set of original movies, which technically took place before those movies, that yes, Cyclops and Havoc are brothers, but they've never been really in a film together. So that's kind of cool. This just looks like it's going to turn into all-out war, and I kind of like the vibe I'm getting from it now. This trailer made me excited. You should go check it out. We posted it to our Facebook. I think New Joker did that. Thanks.
Number 5.
And lastly, prior to the Gears of War 4 beta announcement, which begins April 18th for those with early access, Microsoft also announced that they are opening the doors for cross-network play for ID at Xbox games, beginning with the indie hit Rocket League. Now, what this essentially means is that there is a high possibility that we could see people who play on Xbox Live able to play with people on PlayStation Network. Yep, Xbox One and PlayStation 4 playing together. This means that people on the other side would have to say, okay, we're able to do that. We'll go ahead and okay that. But essentially, Microsoft is opening the doors for developers to choose if they want to implement something like that. And it could allow us to maybe bridge that gap between those who have one console versus the other console and let us all play together. That has been hashtag ICYMI, ladies and gentlemen. That was just in case you missed it. Make sure you do us a favor. Pay close attention to the button at the bottom. Hit the subscribe button. Check out our podcast and follow us on all your social media networks at Loading Snacks. Stay a little tuned for a little more. We'll have it when we come back. Quick. Deuces, toodles, and loose.
Hey, I'm Baroque Queen at MagFest 2016, and you're watching Loading Snacks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one, for show. For show. I'm getting that for show.
Do you want more snacks? Check out the Loading Snacks podcast, Snacking and Hanging. Now available on iTunes and Stitcher. If that's not enough, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Loading Snacks.
What it do, snackers and snackettes? It's your boy Gage here. Got the usual suspects in the house with me. To my left is
A new Joker.
and to his left is
Sin.
we are here to discuss amongst ourselves
Yes.
for your viewing pleasure little something about this PlayStation virtual reality conference that was held at the Game
Yes.
Developers Conference last week. To preface this, the Game Developers Conference happens every year, usually in San Francisco, Silicon Valley area, where essentially game developers get together to discuss changes, innovations, things that they're doing. We got a lot of really good, solid announcements, Unreal Engine and things like that being free. There's all kinds of stuff like that. But probably the thing that stood out the most, even prior to the actual show itself, was Sony making an announcement that they were in fact going to hold a conference that was specifically about PlayStation VR. And so up until that point, we didn't have a whole lot of information. A lot of people had some hands-on time. We still haven't done that yet. But information we received that was most important was we're looking at a $399 price point, which, if you were listening to the podcast, I called it.
He did.
I called it. You were wrong.
I overshot.
And you were wrong.
Oh, price
And I was
right.
right. First of all.
Yeah.
What do we think about this price point?
I guess for what we're getting, I mean, it is a little bit more than the console.
Yes,
So
it
it is a little bit more. So that's saying something
Yeah.
big to the fact that it's going to be a little bit more than the console. Now, we did talk about possibly maybe they'll do like a bundle or something where you can get it together.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine they wouldn't do that. At some point, I imagine. At least holiday.
But I mean, $399 price. I'm not too mad at that. I mean, it's right in that part because they said it was going to be like a console price.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think we can be too mad at that.
Nope.
But the thing now it's going to be is that content. It's like what
Will the
kind of
software be
content are we going to get for it? Because
Yeah.
that's where that driving piece is really truly going to be.
I mean,
at.
we'll talk a little bit about some of the content and what's kind of coming and what stuff is out there. What do you think about the price point?
I think it's fair. I think it's a very fair price point, especially seeing how expensive those other ones are.
Definitely.
And
At
needing,
$600 and $800.
yeah, and
yes.
needing those high-end PCs to work.
At
I think it's
$1,200 to
yeah,
$1,500.
I think it's a good price point.
Yeah, I mean,
work.
look, obviously at $400, if you already own a PlayStation 4, which a lot of people do, then it's not so bad, right? Even if you don't own one, having to get a PlayStation 4 system and get this, you're still below what it would cost you to get one of the other headsets
And
and have a
PC
computer
rig
you
to
already
run it.
have a nice rig. Way below what it
Yeah.
would cost you to do that. By comparison, at least if you add in the price of the rig. Now, clearly this isn't going to run quite the way that those will run,
Right.
okay? But I think $399 is a fair price Just all things considered. Obviously, had this come out 2 years ago, it'd be the same price as the system, right? But the system has dropped $50 in price, over the course of the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I guess, almost 2.5 years now. And they are really treating this more like the release of a new platform, less than they're treating it like an actual peripheral for the PlayStation 4. So this is being treated more like a platform than a peripheral, so to speak. It does require the PlayStation 4 to operate, obviously. But it's kind of being seen as the introduction of something new that people can create new experiences on. And so that kind of is where we'll head in terms of you asking about software. Most of what has been, there have been a lot of games shown.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who feel like games aren't really going to be the thing that makes VR mainstream, that it will be other experiences. There were demos and things that were shown at this event that, people were told this isn't a game. This is an interactive experience. And so being able to kind of tour things and feel like you're virtually there, virtual reality, or even be inside of a game space and feel like you're there. Yes, there are games like Super Hot or Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, and there are experiences there. We have a tendency when we get together to play a game called Mafia. If you don't know what it is, you should probably look it up, but it's a really good game that just allows you, if you're interacting with people.
I'm going to have to videotape that next time.
Yeah, if you're it's a game where you can kind of be together and everybody gets a card and everybody plays a specific role and you're essentially trying to figure out who the people are who are the Mafia, and they get the opportunity to kill somebody in the room. That's basically what happens. There was a game that was played called like Werewolves Among Us. That's essentially the same idea. You're in this virtual setting where it looks like a place where you would expect werewolves to be. You know what I mean? It's got kind of like that maybe 18th century kind of, whatever. But you're essentially like going to sleep at night and you're trying to figure out who the werewolves are. So it's very similar to that. You can do this. It's like I don't know if you've ever played Thumbs Up 7-Up or something like that. Like it's that. And so it's an experience that you could play with people who aren't in the room with you.
Right.
A game that you would only normally be able to play with people who are in a room with you. I think that's kind of cool. Is that going to sell it?
No, not necessarily.
It won't sell it to me.
No.
At all. But I love new technology. Yeah. I'm one of them people who will buy it just to be able to say I got it, nobody else has it. You know what I'm saying? Or other people have it, but I got it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Come check it out. Now, that $3.99 price includes an asterisk.
Of course.
Yeah, we heard about the asterisk during the, in case you missed it, and we both had the same. We looked at each other at the same time, like, really?
Yeah. I mean,
really?
Look, the virtual reality headset, which has a lot of people are saying it's the most comfortable one out of the ones that are available.
That's good,
especially for people who wear glasses. But it doesn't work if you don't have a PlayStation Eye.
So I guess.
So you need that.
I guess we're gonna get
that.
I guess we're gonna have to invest in that.
Yeah, because I definitely.
So that's $50 or $60. I think you can find them on sale at $40, something around that price point.
Okay.
But there are also a lot of activities in it that at least would be better experiences if you also have a PlayStation Move controller, which nobody should.
I don't.
Nope.
Nobody should.
So,
but I guess now.
I guess we need those now too.
Forcing you to go back in the past to get some of that stuff now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Remember that the PlayStation 4 controllers have a little blue light or the light on the front, and it'll work. You can do it without that. Like you could get away without doing it, but. I mean, truthfully, you're probably looking at about another $100 to really get in and be able to do.
Okay, so we're up to what now?
$500.
But yeah, it's still a lot cheaper than buying a new gaming rig.
It is.
PC.
It is.
But it's not cheaper than buying another PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
It'd probably do a lot of people a lot of good if they just put one in another room. Yeah, I mean, I think this is cool. They also talked about things like being able to play, I guess, any PlayStation game with the headset on. The headset is designed to act like a second screen. So you'll be able to play your PlayStation games and act like you have like a big screen, or you're in a movie theater kind of thing or something like that, and you can choose the size of the screen, that kind of stuff. So there are other places where I mean, it's Sony. They own Columbia,
Right.
You know, like they can put all kinds of films and do all kinds of stuff with it if they really want to. It just depends on how it does, I think. If it sells well, and it might.
It's gonna come down to the software.
Yeah.
And stuff that isn't, like you said, necessarily game related. That's gonna get it into
Other people's
hands who aren't gamers.
What's funny about that is that I do just kind of want to throw a monkey wrench out there and say that while, yes, under normal circumstances, it would take software to sell hardware, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that that is not the case this time around. Here's why. There are like 36 million PlayStation 4s in the wild right now, okay? And Sony still can't figure out why. They have very few exclusive titles that mean you need to have a PlayStation, like exclusive, like software selling like
Uncharted.
Right, which hasn't happened yet. You understand what I'm saying? Like they don't have a killer app for the PlayStation 4. It doesn't exist. But there are still 36 million people who spent $400.
Yep.
And a lot of those people, if you remember, when the PlayStation 4 launched, they couldn't keep the cameras in stock. Maybe, just maybe, people won't care. They'll just be like, you know what? Because again, it's one of those things where the bigger the install base, the higher the likelihood that there are going to be people who make something for it. And Sony said that there are like 240 developers working on stuff for it.
Yeah, they do have a lot of people working on content for it. So
yeah,
hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be good for them.
Yeah.
Move units. Are you getting one?
Oh, you know me. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, you're gonna have it.
I'm gonna have it.
You're gonna have it. I may even bite the bullet. You know what I mean? We got till October. Now, they didn't give us a specific date, but October is when we should be looking at something. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure they're gonna put out something scary with it, because the experiences they have had, they've been like, yo, this is it.
Yeah, if it comes to my address, that's not coming.
Yeah, I understand.
Absolutely not.
I understand.
Nah.
Ladies and gentlemen, tell us what you think about the PlayStation VR. Tell us what you think about the price point, how you feel about it. Will you buy one? Would you jump inside that helmet and take on that virtual world? Still the real price out here. Y'all let us know in the comments below. With that, we're out.
Welcome back, all loaders and all snackers. We are here to discuss Batman versus Superman, which is literally like right around the corner.
Yes,
like right where Gage is sitting.
Right where he is?
That's where Batman is.
Okay.
And no, let's switch that.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Hey, this want to be over quick. No, this segment was going to be done real quick.
It's already over.
Quit this.
Right. Quit this. Yeah.
We're here to discuss everything that you may know or may not know about Batman vs. Superman to get yourself ready for the movie. So much stuff has happened within weeks, days before it even comes out. So let's talk about the animated films to build people up for the actual movie.
Okay.
I think a good one to actually start you off with would be, honestly, let's start off with War. Really.
You know what though? I mean, Justice League War. Look, let's preface this by saying that really all of the DC animated films are phenomenal. So it's not technically, it wouldn't matter what we said. You couldn't go wrong in terms of watching one if you haven't. But in terms of like building up to who these characters are, in terms of the way they're represented, or at least the way it appears they're going to be represented in the movie, the first thing I would say that people should watch is The Dark Knight Returns, Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because this movie is taking from... The Dark Knight Returns was a comic book done in like 1983 by Frank Miller. It's... Superman and Batman are older. They're in like their 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And superheroing has kind of come to an end, so to speak. Like the Justice League doesn't exist anymore. They agree kind of not to be superheroes, and there's a lot to the story. The point is though that it is in this film that you see Batman in the armor that you see him in or even in that comic book that you see him in the movie the armor that he has specifically designed to fight Superman. And so it's kind of derived from that. So to really get a good idea of where some of this is coming from and that lore comes from that exists, The Dark Knight Returns is a really good place to start. It just gives you a lot of insight into kind of what was happening and why the two of them, at least at that point, don't like each other. Not that they don't like each other, but why they would be fighting.
Right.
Which I think right now, in terms of the trailers and the way they've been coming out, like people are still kind of like, why? I don't get it. Why are they fighting? How come they don't like each other? Having said that, though, Justice League War is also a really good film because it is the introduction of the Justice League in the New 52, which is where they are technically in the comic books now. And they seem to be borrowing from both in that Batman vs. Superman is also called the Dawn of Justice because it is going to be the beginning of the Justice League. Exactly. These are not characters who know each other. So while people are kind of like, why are they fighting? They don't know each other yet. They haven't really met. This is the first time they're meeting. They're kind of doing their own thing as superheroes.
Right.
And Justice League War kind of shows that. You know what I mean? You get Batman kind of doing his thing, meeting Green Lantern for the first time, and then the two of them actually having to take on Superman.
Right.
You need to see that. So yeah, you're right that Justice League War is still a good place because it's actually a really good prefacing for not just why they might be fighting, which is kind of borrowed from Dark Knight, but the introduction of all of the members of the Justice League, the majority of the members, I guess we should say, of the Justice League, into this film.
Right. And
I think Doom is also a good one for people to watch because of everything that Doom is based upon. Batman having contingency plans for everybody if they start to get out of place and then being used against them. And that little back and forth they kind of have at the end, like, how would you do that to us? Who's going somebody, y'all need to be the police. You know, we got to keep y'all in check. All that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Justice League Doom would also really be a good one for kind of getting a really good idea into the psyche of Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
As the only person on the Justice League team who doesn't have superpowers. And feeling like if any of those people got out of hand, there needs to be a plan in place to shut them down, which would explain why he could go toe-to-toe with the dude.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah. And, you know, actually, we had a small discussion about this a long time ago about, you know, digital giving away, you know,
incentives and stuff like that.
And things like that. So if you actually, I think it was on PlayStation or...
Well, Xbox Live definitely has something. Generally, you know, if you go when a big movie's about to come out, you can buy a DVD or something like that that's tied into them somehow. You can get like Movie Cash to go see the movies. Right now, if you're like an Xbox Live Gold member, they have an opportunity on there where you can actually download the films digitally, and if you're a Gold member, you will still get that Movie Cash. My assumption would be they just email it to you, probably to whatever email address is tied to your Xbox Live Gold account.
So I suggest the ones that we're talking about, go watch, go download them, get that little ticket to use it to go see it.
Download them and have them and go watch the movie. But it is cool that we're seeing, again, some of those things that we talked about. Digital, as incentives, things that normally you would have to go to the store to do. It's like, why do that? Now, it's interesting that you have to be a Gold member.
Who's not? But that's what
I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not, So, let me ask you this. Obviously, it's a big film. It's gonna be major. They're saying that it's expected to do 140 million over the first weekend. Okay.
Believe it.
It might do better than that. I think there's a possibility it does better than that.
I can see that.
I have managed to reserve some. I'm trying to reserve judgment for the film. I'm not super excited for this film, personally. Man of Steel was okay. I mean, it wasn't I've said this before. It got a little too Dragon Ball for me at the end. It just did. It turned.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it turned into Dragon Ball, like, or Hancock. I don't know. But, and I'm not, crucify me if you need. I'm not a huge fan of the last Batman trilogy. It's okay. It's not terrible. Save it. So this doesn't really, like, the idea of the introduction of the Justice League is something that's exciting to me, because I do want to see what DC really brings to the table in terms of their live action, because having suggested that you check out their animated films, let me say that they're not really all for children. They probably should be in like the PG-13 kind of thing. And this movie's probably going to be closer to that. It's, you know what I mean? They're talking about doing a rated R cut of it.
Yeah.
For the Blu-ray release.
Yeah. What I know, the movie Batman vs Superman is actually 2 hours and 31 minutes long.
It's pretty long.
Yeah, it's a long movie by itself.
Yeah, they got to reintroduce Bruce Wayne, and you know,
I'm tired of that.
I feel you, but
yeah, but they also have to introduce
this one in this universe so people know this is not Christian Bale's
exactly
Batman. This is somebody different.
Right.
So they got to give some time to.
Yeah, but they also have to introduce Wonder Woman.
They do.
And they have to introduce
Aquaman,
Flash, and
and Flash, Cyborg.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of introductions.
It's gonna take some time.
Yeah. But with that being said, we got news that the rated R version would have been a little bit over 3 hours long. Yeah. Which is what they said would be, you know, just pretty much some brutal fight scenes. No nudity or like excessive, you know, anything else over rated R with just fight scenes really. So, I mean, that kind of just makes me a little less excited, because it's like, we heard about this rated R thing like weeks ago.
Right.
And so the fact that you had this idea and they were like, oh, we're just going to add in 30 more minutes of...
I mean, all right, you have to, I mean, you do have to, again, when we talked about it before, it was kind of like, look, if you're just going to like pull some stuff and throw it together and put it on a DVD or whatever to try to make like a rated R version of it, personally, I kind of feel like that's not really necessary. Like, the movie is what the movie is. But when you hear that the movie is already 2.5 hours, and if you have to cut stuff and put it on the cutting room floor, it makes the most sense to cut the stuff that would give the film a rating that would allow the least amount of people to see it. Right? So you cut it. So maybe it ends up not being so bad when you release the rated R version of it. I guess I'm okay with that as long as the regular version is still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2 hours and 31 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Which means that this film has to maintain your attention the whole time.
Hateful Eight, was it 2 hours 45? Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
I mean, look, Lord of the Rings, long movies, whatever, cool. Hold your attention, has some action. It's not that it can't be done.
No, it can be done. They're introducing enough superheroes in it to definitely this first time around hold your attention.
Right.
Because you want to see them and see how they interact. And
it's going to be important how they handle the villain in this. I do think this is going to go a little more in the direction towards the end of the movie that Justice League War does. Maybe it's going to be Doomsday. Maybe it's not Doomsday who we think we saw. I mean, they said Doomsday wasn't the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
The only other person it could be, in my opinion, is Darkseid.
And we've seen slight images of parademons and Batman staring over the Darkseid symbol.
It could be a random creature they decided to make for the movie.
I'm new.
Here I am.
I'm just saying it's possible.
Welcome to the DC universe. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not.
I'm just not putting it past them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you right. Yeah, I'm gonna be steaming really beaming if that happens. I'm gonna see it. I love comic books and comic book movies, so clearly I'm gonna go see it. But more importantly than what we think, what do y'all think?
What do you think?
What do you think? What do you expect? What are your expectations? New Joker, yay or nay?
I'm still gonna put on the yay. I'm putting on the yay.
Y'all heard it. It's probably okay.
Nay.
Oh! We got our own war. You know what I'm saying? Up in here. Do us a favor. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think.
And
shoot us an email.
Let us know whose side you're picking, Batman or Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't pick Superman. But yeah, by all means, please drop us a comment. Shoot us an email at loadingsnacks@gmail.com. Let us know how you feel. Share and like this for us, please. With that, we out.